Hello and welcome to a new video on YouTube channel of tutorialspedia.com. This video tutorial is part of a series of MuleSoft video tutorials where I'm covering different topics related to MuleSoft. In this video, we will talk about API Auto Discovery in Mule 4, and we will see that how we can enforce policies on Mule applications with API Auto Discovery. Let's look at the details of the topics that we are going to cover in this video tutorial. First of all, we will have theoretical overview of API Auto Discovery, where I will explain the basic concepts associated with API Auto Discovery. After that, we will see that how we can do the actual implementation, where I will be creating an API specification, RAML API specification in the design center, and I'll push that to API Exchange. And then once we have pushed our API specification to the Exchange, we will do the API implementation in Anypoint Studio, and we will see that how we can implement our API business logic in Anypoint Studio, and then we will do the deployment to the Cloudhub, and we will see that how we can do the deployments with the API Auto Discovery enabled or disabled. We will see both ways, and we will see that once we have API Auto Discovery enabled, then how we can do the required API manager level configurations for the auto discovery, and then we will apply different policies, and we will see that how we can enforce policies that we want for the API proxy, for the API application using the auto discovery, where it will be having its own proxy. So let's first have a theoretical high-level overview of API auto discovery. Basically, what happens is that in case of any API that you have, be it a Mule API or a non-Mule API, what you do is that in order to enforce certain policies and in order to govern the APIs, you create API proxy. So proxy works on top of your actual API, and then you enforce the policies using the API proxy. But in case of Mule applications, like if you have some application that you have implemented in Anypoint Studio and you have deployed it into the runtime manager and it's running there, then you can benefit from this auto discovery feature, where this application will have it will act as its own proxy. So instead of having another separate proxy, you are just having auto discovery feature, using which the application that you have deployed into the runtime, that will be governed by the proxy, if of its own. So you will be able to get it discovered, and you will be able to get all of the required policies enforced for the API. So this is one of the good feature and a great feature that is available in MuleSoft, where you can enforce the policies without creating a separate proxy. So once we have this high-level understanding of API auto discovery feature, as I explained already, basically this tutorial is going to be very interesting and quite beneficial for all of you, because as I explained, we are covering the entire life cycle of our API. We are going to have design of our API specification. We are going to publish it into the exchange. We are going to do the implementation in Anypoint Studio. We are going to do the deployment to the Cloudhub, and we will be seeing it from the runtime manager. And then we will be going into the API manager for creation of the API, and with the auto discovery feature, and then we will be enforcing the policies. So you are going to have a good flavor of all of the major components of Anypoint platform. And once you complete this video, you should have a fair knowledge not only of API auto discovery, but also overall API lifecycle for any of the Mule based API. So without further ado, now let's jump into the implementation and see the things in real. So I'm already logged into Anypoint platform, and if you don't have an account on Anypoint platform, you will have to create an account. You can create a trial account which is valid for 30 days. You'll have to go to anypoint.mulesoft.com, and once you have created your account and once you're logged in, then you can proceed with the other options and the features that are available in the Anypoint platform. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to first create an API specification. I'll go to design center and I'll choose start designing. So I'll click on this option of start designing. So as soon as you will click on this start designing, you will go to design center. It's loading. So once design center gets loaded, then you will have options in the design center. Basically, design center provides you two options. One is to create API specifications, which can be raml based specifications or open API specifications. And the second option that is provided by design center is to create the flows. So if you want to create some basic type of flows, instead of doing it in the Anypoint Studio, you can do it directly from design center as well. So for our use case or for our scenario, what we are going to do is that we are going to create API specifications. So in order to create API specifications, I'll click on this option of create new, and I'll choose new API spec. Let's give it a name. Since the focus of this tutorial is to explain and to demonstrate API auto discovery, and not the nitty-gritties of RAML specifications. So I'm not going to create a very complex type of RAML specification. Rather, we will go with a simple RAML based API specification here. If you want to know more in detail how exactly we create RAML API specifications, I will put a link in the description for another video where I explained specifically about the RAML and how we create RAML specifications in Anypoint platform. So you can refer to that video as well. So for this, let's name it Hello Tutorialspedia, just a name. And here we can specify what kind of specification we want. We have option of RAML 0.8 or 1.0, and we can also have option of Open API specifications with YAML or JSON based formats. And it has support for Open API specification 3.0 as well now. So I'll choose RAML 1.0, and you have another option, guide me through it. If you want to create with a visual approach, you can do like this. But if you are comfortable and you can create your API specifications in the normal syntax format, then you can just go with the first option. So I'll click on create API specs, and as soon as you will click on this create API spec, then you will see that RAML specification template will open in front of you, from where you can start creating all of the details, and all you can add all of the resources, methods, or whatever you want to add for your API specification. So now let's start designing the specification of our RAML based API. And you can see that it's already having the title based on the title that we provided, and after that we have to add other details for the API. I'm going to add the version here, so you can see that this tool itself, Design Center, provides us all the suggestions for the available options that we can utilize. So I'm going to use version 1.0 for this API, and after that I'm just going to add if I will need to add anything else like description. So I'll add a description, test API spec from Tutorialspedia. So just a dummy specification description, and then I'm going to add a resource. I'm going to add a simple resource slash time resource, and this time resource is going to provide the current date and time. So it's a pretty simple and straightforward API specification, nothing fancy and nothing complex. I will put a description. This API resource is for current date and time. And then if I have to add any other details, I can add those as well. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add the methods. I will just add one method, which is a get method for this. You can implement post, put, delete, or any other methods like batch, but we will just keep it simple and we will have only get method. And for the get method, the description is returns current time. And after this description, we will have to provide additional details that we want. For example, since this is get, so if we want, we can have any query parameters or URI parameters, but we want to have it straightforward. So we'll just add responses, and in the responses you have different HTTP response codes which you want to specify for the specification. I just want 200 OK status code for the happy scenario, and for this one in the body I want to specify what type of body I want. So for the body, we want it to be of application slash JSON type because we want to return the response in JSON format. Sorry. And after that, here we are going to specify an example. So if you want to specify example, you will have to use this pipe sign, and then you will have to write the example. So the example response for this is current dash time. So we will just make an example 2021-12-12. It's not date time, this is just date, but since I'm putting it as an example, so I'll keep it like this. So this is pretty straightforward and simple type of API specification that we have created in order to demonstrate API auto discovery feature. So now that we have this API specification created, if you go here, you have the option of mocking service. So let's enable mocking service, and new public link is created. And now if we want, we can test it with the mock service. So let me just look into this. And if you go here to documentation for the time, and if you click on this get, and if you click on this try it option, you and if you send it, you should be getting a response from the mock service, and we can see we are getting 200 OK, and based on the example we are getting the response. So now what we are going to do is that we are going to publish this API specification to Exchange. So we will click on publish to Exchange. So it will take a little time, and then it will be published. So if you're going to publish it to the as an asset to API Exchange, you will have to provide asset version as well. API version is pre-populated based on the version that we provided in the API specifications. So let's publish it now with the asset version and the API version as provided. So once this API specification gets published to the exchange, then we will proceed towards Anypoint Studio, and we will do the actual implementation. It is published successfully. So now let's go to Anypoint Studio. So in the Anypoint Studio, I'm going to create a new project. So I'll choose new Mule project. And for this scenario, we are going, let's first give it a name. You can give it any name, but I will prefer to give it same name as we gave to our API specification, although it's not necessary. And then here for the API specification, we have option from Design Center or local file, or from Exchange or Maven. Since we already published our API to Exchange, so we will choose this option. Click on plus button from Exchange. Now you will be uh, given an option to log into your Anypoint platform account. If you're already logged in, no need. Otherwise, you will have to click on this add account, and then you will have to log in. In my case, I'm already logged in, so I'll just click here and search hello tutorialspedia. This was the name of API that I published to Exchange. So I will just select this and click on this add button, and then once it has been added, I will just click on finish. So once you will add your API and you will create your project, and you will see that scaffolding will take place, and based on the resources and the methods available in your API specification, respective message flows will get automatically created. I'll click on finish. So once scaffolding is successful, you can see that we have message flows created. Hello tutorialspedia dash main. which has API kit router, and it has a listener which is listening on the default localhost 8081. We are not going to make any changes for the port and host, and we will see that we will have resources, message flows based on the API resources in the methods. Since in our case we have only one resource, time resource, and we have only one get method for the API specification, so uh, we have one message flow for that. And if you see here this transform message is based on the example that we specified while designing the API specification. So whatever implementation we want for our method and for our API resource, we can do all that over here in this message flow. But for our case, for the sake of simplicity, what we are going to do is that we are going to use now method. So this now function provides current date and time. So pretty simple. What will happen is that whenever any client will call this time API with the get method, they will always receive current date and time. So in this way, the client will be receiving and client will be expecting current date and time as per the machine date and time whenever this API is called. So let's not make any other fancy changes and keep the implementation as simple as possible, and just save this project, and after that we will deploy this project into the Cloudhub. We will choose this option save all so that all the changes that we made are saved. If you look here, you can see and explore it further that it has error handling for the API main flow for the API kit, and it also has a console flow has been added. So if for the main flow, if you just click on this listener, so you will see that it will be called with slash API. So we will have to call it with slash API. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to right click on my project, and I want to deploy this project first without API Auto Discovery. So once we will deploy it into the Cloud App, we will test it if working fine. Then we will proceed with the adding the required changes and required steps for the API Auto Discovery. So here we will choose Anypoint platform, and we will choose this option deploy to Cloudhub. So once you click on this option of deploy to Cloudhub, you will have another pop-up window opened where you will have to make, if you want to add any other configurations, you can do that, and then you will be deploying your solution to the Cloudhub. So for the deployment to the Cloudhub, we will keep the same name, Hello Tutorialspedia, and then in the runtime we are not going to make any changes. We will keep it 4.3.0, and worker size and worker and everything we will keep as is for now. So for this straightforward deployment, we will just click on Deploy Application, and it will take a little time, and then you will see that your application will get deployed into the runtime. So we can see that we have this information stating that deploying Hello Tutorialspedia to Cloudhub. It says that you may close this window at any time, because even if you close it now, the deployment is already started, and you will be able to see that status of your deployment from the runtime manager as well. So I'll just close this window, and I'll go to runtime manager from the browser, and if you see here Hello Tutorialspedia, its status is deploying. So currently it is getting deployed, and you can just wait for this application to complete its deployment. You can go to the logs as well if you want to see the logs for the current deployment action. So we will wait for this application to get deployed, and then we will proceed. So now we can see that the status of our application Hello Tutorialspedia is started. This means that application has been successfully deployed. Now if you see here on the right side, you see app URL. So this app URL, you have to copy it. So just copy this URL, and then you have to go to any of the client. I will use uh, uh, Postman. So I'll click, I'll say, paste it, and then slash API slash time. Then we are going to test it, and we are expecting that we should be getting the response with the current time. So it's giving us current date and time, which means that it is working fine. So up till now, what we have done is that we have just implemented one application, and it is not having any API auto discovery feature. But now, once we have done it, now what we are going to do is that we are going to proceed with the interesting steps next, which is about creating an API in API Manager and then associating with this application. So what I'll do, I'll go here and I'll choose API Manager, and I'll open it in a new tab, and here we will create a new API, and then we will do the required settings so that this API auto discovery feature is enabled. So here what we are going to do is that we are going to choose the option manage API from Exchange, and API name we are going to specify the same hello tutorialspedia, as this API is already in the Exchange. And for the managing type, you have endpoint with proxy and basic endpoint, and we will choose basic endpoint, and we will select application type as Mule application, as this is a Mule application. Mule version is 4, and in the implementation URL I'll just paste the URL that I just copied from the runtime manager. I'll choose this advanced option if we have to make any changes. For me, I don't have to make any changes. I'll just click on save. So now if you see here, we got something about this API that we created, that the status is unregistered, which means that it doesn't have, it is still not auto discovering the associated application. And there is API ID. We need to copy this API ID, and this API ID we are going to use in our Anypoint Studio. So I'll go back to Anypoint Studio, and in the global elements, I'm going to click on this create, and I'm going to add auto discovery, API auto discovery. So in the API auto discovery, we have to specify API ID. API ID I already copied from the API manager, so I'll just put it. And for the flow name, you have to specify the main flow. So I'll choose this hello tutorialspedia dash main, and I'll just click on OK. So this is the thing that we needed from the Anypoint Studio side. The second thing that we will need to do in order to enable this auto discovery and to make sure that our APIs are auto discovered, we will have to do some changes while we are going to deploy it. But for that, we need client ID and client secret. So in order to get client ID and client secret, we will have to go uh, our Anypoint platform, and here we will have to choose access management. So let me open it, this access management, in a new tab, and here we will have to copy, we will have to find our client ID and client secret, and that we will have to use while we are deploying our application. So in order to get the required client ID and client secret, you will have to go to access management, and you will have to choose your environment. I'll choose sandbox, and from here you can see we have client ID and client secrets. So you will have to copy these two. And once you have your client ID and client secret available, you will have to redeploy your application with some configuration properties. So you will again go to Anypoint Studio, and you will right click on your project. You will go to Anypoint platform, and you will choose deploy to Cloudhub. And just like before, you will be deploying it, but at this point, while deploying it with auto discovery enabled, you will be providing client ID and client secret as well while deploying it to the runtime manager. So now while deploying, you will have to go to this properties tab. Let me go to text view, and here in the key value pair, you will have to provide anypoint.platform.client underscore ID and anypoint.platform.client underscore secret. And here ID and secret you will have to provide whatever you copied from the access management. And then you will just click on deploy application. We will wait for the application to get redeployed, and then we will see, and we are expecting that the status in the IPM manager should also change. So now we can see that we got a message that application hello tutorialspedia successfully deployed to Cloudhub. So we will close it and we will go to runtime and we will see the status. And the status is now updating. So it means the previous deployment that we had without API Auto Discovery is now getting redeployed with the API Auto Discovery enabled. So once this deployment gets completed and the application is in the started mode, we at that time we will be expecting that the status for the API should also change. So let's wait for the application's redeployment to be completed, and then we will observe the behavior in the API manager, and then we will proceed with the enforcement of API policies. Now we can see that the application redeployment is completed and the status of the application in the runtime manager is started. Now let's see the status of the API in the API manager. So if we go to API manager and check for the Hello Tutorials PDA version 1.2, we can see that the status which was previously shown as unregistered is now active. This means we are good to go and we have successfully implemented API Auto Discovery. Now what we want to do is that we want to enable or we want to enforce certain policies. Right now, what happens is that there is no limit. So we can make any number of hits to this API and there is no policy enforced. What I want to do is that just to demonstrate how policies work for once we have our API auto discovery for our Mule application and API. But what I'll do is that I will configure some rate limiting policy. So I'll go to this policies option in the API manager and I want that this API that we just created and which is having API auto discovery with the API proxy for the Mule application with auto discovery. We want that maximum of 2 hits it should accept per minute. This is just for the testing purpose. So I'll click on this apply new policy and I'm going to select a rate limiting policy from here. So if you see here, we have plenty of options available for applying different type of policies. But for simple case, I'll just select this rate limiting policy. And after that, we will just select this option of configure policy. Now I want to specify that the limit is number of requests. I want to have maximum 2 requests and time period is 1 and the unit is minute. So every minute the maximum number of requests that this API should accept is 2. So now I'll just click on apply and this says that the policy has been applied. Now with the policy which has been enforced for our API, let's try to hit this URL. And we tried it for the first time. We got the response with the current date and time. Let's try it again. And we got the response once again. And now let's try another time. And this time you can see that we got the error 429, too many requests. And the message is quota has been exceeded. This is because of the policy of allowing maximum 2 requests per minute. So in this way, we can apply any number of policies or any type of available policies for our API, which is based on API Auto Discovery. So that's it from this video tutorial about MuleSoft API Auto Discovery. I hope that the information that has been conveyed to you in this tutorial is helpful for you. And if you have any further questions or if you have any ambiguities, feel free to write in the comment section. And if you want to read further and understand more about this topic as well as other topics related to MuleSoft, you can refer to this playlist of MuleSoft tutorials on Tutorialspedia, where I have plenty of videos on different topics. And of course, you can always refer to official MuleSoft documentation as the first point source of truth. Thank you very much.